The evening heat pressed against the city like a fever that wouldn't break. Santiago de Oro always felt louder in summer. Too many bodies in the streets, too many voices bouncing off the rust-colored apartment buildings, too many secrets that stuck to the air along with dust and gasoline. But inside Don Arturo's house, it was silent. Too silent. The silence cracked only when he tapped his glass gently with the handle of a silver spoon. People turned automatically. His presence always commanded a room, even at 78. His towering frame, his still sharp black eyes, his rigid posture. He was the kind of man whose disappointment felt like a punishment, and tonight he stood at the head of the long dining table, surrounded by family, friends, and acquaintances who had come to celebrate his granddaughter's 29th birthday. "Camila," he said, his voice low but steady, "Mi niña, tell me, how have you used the trust fund I gave you when you were 4? Every breath in the room clamped shut. The laughter that had filled the air died instantly. The clinking of forks on plates stopped. Someone dropped their napkin and didn't bother to pick it up. The candles flickered as if even the flames were startled. Camila felt her stomach turn to wet cement. The trust fund? She blinked once, then twice. Her heartbeat thudded behind her ribs, quick and nauseating. "What trust fund?" she asked quietly. Her mother, seated to her right, jerked slightly, like a person caught stealing after assuming no one was watching. Her father stiffened, eyes narrowing for a fraction of a second before smoothing into a practiced smile. Don Arturo's eyebrows dipped. "Camila," he repeated, slower this time, "the 4.2 million pesos I placed in a trust for you 25 years ago." The room gasped. Someone whispered, "Dios mío." Camila felt the earth tilt. She gripped the table's edge to steady herself. "I never received anything," she whispered. "Not a notice, not a letter, not a payment, nothing." Her grandfather stared at her, really stared, examining her face as if searching for the lie he hoped he wouldn't find, but her eyes were raw. Her voice trembled, and that was when something flickered behind his expression. An old, slow-burning rage that had survived wars, betrayals, and business rivals. He turned his gaze sharply to her parents, and Camila felt a cold, ancient dread crawl up her spine. Her mother shifted in her seat as if trying to disappear inside herself. Her father suddenly found the tablecloth fascinating. Don Arturo didn't yell. He didn't need to. "I will speak to you both tomorrow," he said, privately. His tone was a steel blade. Her parents nodded stiffly. Camila swallowed hard, her birthday appetite gone. The celebration limped through the next hour like a wounded animal everyone was too polite to put out of its misery. And when Camila blew out her candles, she could think of only one wish. Let it not be true. Let there be some explanation. But deep inside, she already knew better. Her parents had always had a way of making her doubt herself, and she could already see the cracks forming in the story she'd grown up believing. The call came at 9:12 a.m. "Camila," her grandfather's voice said, clipped and hard, "come to the office. Now. Bring nothing. Say nothing to your parents." Her mouth went dry. The office was located in a towering glass building in the commercial district, far from the cramped apartment where Camila rented a room from an elderly widow, far from the life she'd scraped together through long shifts and sleepless nights. When she arrived, the receptionist looked pale, almost sympathetic. "Go right in, señorita." Inside the meeting room sat her grandfather, his lawyer, an accountant, and 2 thick folders laid neatly on the table. Her parents were already there. Her father's jaw was tight, his eyes darting between the lawyer and the floor. Her mother clutched her purse with white knuckles. "Sit," Don Arturo said. Camila obeyed. The accountant opened the first folder. Inside were 2 decades of statements, withdrawals, authorizations, signatures. 25 years ago, the accountant began softly, Don Arturo established a trust for you containing 4.2 million pesos. It accrued interest by age 18. It contained 6.9 million. Camila felt her lungs twist. 6.9. she whispered. She remembered struggling to pay university fees, working graveyard shifts at the bakery, skipping meals, pretending she wasn't hungry so no one would notice. Her mother had always said, "We're doing our best. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to understand how hard things are." She remembered scrubbing floors in restaurants to afford textbooks. Her father had always said, "A real adult earns her own way. Don't expect handouts." The accountant continued flipping pages. 8 months after your 18th birthday, withdrawals began. Regular ones, large ones, all authorized by your parents, who had joint access as trustees until you turned 21, though they never informed you of the account. Her mother opened her mouth. "We meant—" Her grandfather raised a hand sharply. The accountant continued. "Mortgage payments, renovations to the house, a new car, 2 international vacations, private coaching, university tuition, and medical bills for your sister, Valeria." Camila froze Valeria, the golden child, the brilliant one, the fragile one who needed support. The daughter who received everything without even needing to ask, and suddenly the clarity hit like lightning. While Camila worked double shifts, Valeria had been flown to Brazil for a year of specialized tutoring. While Camila walked to work in the rain, Valeria had been given a new scooter for safety. While Camila lived with migraines from skipping meals, Valeria ate organic, expensive diets to keep her healthy. Everything made horrible, screaming sense now, and yet she still whispered, "Why?" Her mother's lips trembled. "We didn't think you would use that much money wisely," she said, voice trembling. "You were always impulsive, Cammy. And Valeria needed opportunities. She had talent. She could become something." Her father leaned forward, forcing a calm smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We always planned to pay it back," he said. "Eventually, once our finances stabilized. You don't understand the pressure of supporting a family." The accountant cleared his throat. "Señor and Señora Medina, you drained the account entirely by last year." Silence crashed down. Camila stared at the final page, a balance of 0.00 a quarter century drained to nothing. Her mother began crying softly, shoulders shaking. Her father gripped the edge of the table, refusing to meet Camila's eyes. Don Arturo's voice rumbled like thunder. "You stole from my granddaughter." Her father bristled. "It wasn't stealing." "Then what is it?" her grandfather snapped. "You left her to starve while you lived on money meant for her future." Camila couldn't speak. Her throat felt full of broken glass. For years she'd believed she was the family disappointment, the child who didn't deserve investment, the daughter who should be grateful for crumbs. But now she saw the truth. She had been robbed, not just of money, but of dignity, opportunities, stability, self-worth. Her grandfather slid a document across the table. "This," he said coldly, "transfers all remaining trust assets, oversight privileges, and legal rights solely to Camila, and permanently revokes your access to anything tied to my estate. Sign it." Her mother gasped, pale. Her father's voice rose. "Arturo, this is unnecessary." "Sign it," he repeated, voice deathly calm. The lawyer added, "If you refuse, we will pursue criminal charges. There is clear evidence of misappropriation." Her father swallowed. Her mother sobbed, and slowly, stiffly, they signed. 2 trembling signatures that marked the end of the life they had stolen. When the pen left the paper, Don Arturo exhaled for the first time in minutes. Leave. Her parents stood. Her mother tried to approach Camila, tears streaking her cheeks. "Cammy, honey, please, understand, Camila flinched away. Her mother froze. Her father opened his mouth, maybe to apologize, maybe to manipulate, but Camila didn't give him the chance. "Get out," she whispered. Her mother looked like she'd been slapped. Her father's face crumpled with something close to shame, or perhaps anger at losing control. They left together, hollow and defeated. And when the door closed behind them, silence settled again. But this silence was different, heavier, colder, a silence full of ghosts and truths that could never be buried again. They sat for a long moment. The accountant and lawyer quietly left the room, giving Camila and her grandfather privacy. When the door clicked shut, Don Arturo's stern expression cracked, just slightly, and the sorrow beneath it spilled out. He reached across the table and held Camila's hand in both of his. "I am so sorry, Niña," he whispered. Camila's voice broke. "It wasn't your fault, abuelo." "It was," he said. "I trusted the wrong people." Camila lowered her head, trying to breathe through the wreckage inside her chest. She had always believed the distance between her and her parents was her fault. She had believed she wasn't enough, and now she knew the truth. They had chosen who to love. They had chosen who to invest in. They had chosen who mattered, and it had never been her. Her grandfather squeezed her hand gently. "This ends today," he said. "I will help you rebuild everything they stole." Camila blinked back tears, and for the first time in her life, she felt something warm and unfamiliar bloom in her chest. A future. One she could build on her own terms, one built not on crumbs and guilt, but on truth. The days after the meeting moved strangely, like time had stretched thin. Camila felt as if she were walking through the world underwater, slowly, heavily, each step weighted with the knowledge of everything she had lost, everything she had never been allowed to have, everything that had been stolen without hesitation or remorse. Her parents didn't call. Neither sent a message. Not even her mother, who used to text photos of Valeria's achievements with passive-aggressive enthusiasm, as if Camila were supposed to applaud from the sidelines. Silence. It should have felt peaceful, but it felt like standing in an abandoned house, the air thick with dust and old echoes, memories that rattled inside the walls even when no one was there. Her grandfather insisted she stay in the guest room of his home for a while, just until the lawyers finalized the paperwork. She resisted at first. She didn't want to feel like she was accepting charity. But he had simply looked at her and said, "This is not charity. This is your home, the one they kept you away from." So she stayed. He had a small garden behind the house, and each morning he sat outside reading the newspaper, pretending he wasn't watching her closely for signs of collapse. She tried to pretend she was fine. She smiled, laughed lightly, helped with chores, asked him about business and old stories. But it wasn't fine, and he wasn't fooled. One evening, as dusk settled over the city, he said without looking up from his newspaper, "You are very quiet, mi niña." "I'm thinking," she murmured. His eyes lifted to hers, sharp and knowing. She sighed. "I keep wondering if I imagined everything. If maybe I'm exaggerating. If maybe they didn't mean to hurt me as badly as it feels." His expression softened with pity and anger blended. "That is what abused people do," he said quietly. "They try to convince themselves that the ones who hurt them were only misguided, not cruel." Camila looked down at her hands. "I just can't believe they would take everything, all of it, and watch me suffer." "But they did." His voice wasn't gentle, just honest. "And you survived despite them, not because of them." Her throat tightened. He reached out and placed his hand over hers. "Your strength is not small, Camila. It is enormous." His words should have felt comforting. Instead, they broke something in her. The tears came before she could stop them, hot, humiliating, unstoppable. She tried to hide her face, but her grandfather rose, walked around the table, and sat beside her, letting her cry into his shoulder the way he had when she was a child. When she could finally breathe again, she whispered, "Why wasn't I enough for them?" He closed his eyes for a long moment. Then he said, with a bitterness he rarely let slip, "Because small people never see the worth of what they do not understand." The words sank deep into her bones, but they didn't heal her, not yet. Healing, she suspected, would be messy and slow, a cracked road, not a neat one. Still, something inside her shifted that night, not healed, not whole, but stronger. The next day, she found an apartment near the hills overlooking the city. It was old, with peeling blue paint and a view of crooked streets below, but the moment she stepped inside, she felt something like oxygen filling her lungs. Freedom.